this is a gender reveal plane crash according to the FAA and NTSB. You can see it was meant to do a gender reveal flyover, and then things just went off. And this is not the actual picture of the plane, but this is how the plane model looks like before it crashes. This is how that's why I took different images to give you an idea what you are seeing, because this is already wrecked and we can now see this here. So, and all the details, what went wrong, everything, I'm going to detail it for you in this video. And let me also show you this. You can see that this actually is NTSB plane crash final report. So those reports are what I base this video on to ensure you have accurate information. So we will be covering this in the video setup for the plane. Let me change this, the setup and the plane. So we learn about this type of plane, what is it actually for, and things like that. Then we now look at the splash and the build up, how they set up things. Then we look at what really went wrong that caused stalling and crashing and things like that. Then what are the impacts and lessons that we can learn from there. So, and before we now start covering each of these, I want to say, in case you are new here, welcome to our plane crash update. I'm Solomon Foske, and I always try to remind you that I am not a pilot. I'm just someone that loves plane, maybe like you watching as well. So, and I decided to start digging deep more into plane crash, and that's what I share, plane crash event that have happened, update and things like that. So if those interest you, then you want to like, subscribe, tap the notification bell. Also, I created a playlist. You can check link in the description on more gender review plane crashes if you are interested in that. And if you want to also access the official report, I will add link for you to fact check whatever I'm saying in the video. So now that being said, I also appreciate your comment, your question, your contribution, and any plane crash you want me to check out and analyze as well. So now let's get back and start learning more about this one by one. The first one here is the setup and the plane itself. As I've showed you earlier, you have the picture of the plane here. This is how the plane looks actually when not having issues or things like that. So you can see it. So let's now learn about it, the pilot, and some more details about it as well. So first, the pilot is a 49-year-old, and he is a pro. Not is a pro because he had experience of 14,000 plus hours, and out of that 14,000 plus hours, 8,000 of it is in this 8602 plane. So don't worry, we'll still learn more about the plane. So the plane is 8602. So in this specific model that I was flying before the crash, he had like more than half of his entire flight experience in it. Out of the 40,000 8,000 hour, acquire 8,000 of it from this AT602 plane. So let's now talk about the plane itself. It is called the Air Tractor AT602. Is a crop duster beast with turboprop engines built for low and slow, usually space feed. So these are what it is, and that's why I quickly had a check for you. If you do a quick Google check, you will see something like this from Wikipedia. The Air Tractor, it is an agricultural aircraft manufactured by Air Tractor International. The first flew in the United States in December 1995. So based on this now, and you can see another thing I want you to keep in mind is seat number. The seat it has is just one. That means it's a single seat aircraft, only meant for one single person, which is just the pilot, because it's more of an agricultural airplane, so used to spray crops, things like that, as you can see. So it can as well fly low, but you know, for every plane, no matter what, it has the maximum, like the lowest it should fly to reduce the risk of, in case anything goes wrong, the higher the plane is to the ground, the chances of, you know, being able to recover. But if it's too close to the ground, any little thing that go wrong might not be able to recover from the altitude dropping. So that's those things you should keep this in mind as well, and then you can see some more details as well. So but for this incident, it's not spraying crop or for agricultural use, is to spray pink water for gender reveal. And I think when it's pink water, it actually means a girl, the gender of the baby is a girl, and then when it's blue, it's a boy. So then let's look at, does it really carry some passengers, which you might be surprised. Yeah, it actually have a passenger one on board, which is not normal. Remember, this only have one seat. It ought to be a one person there, which is just the pilot. So but somehow maybe it was modified or something, the pilot actually carried one passenger on board, so making two of them in the cockpit instead of just one person is meant to carry. So what about the weather that day? Because we now look at what actually went wrong. But you know, I always like you to have base idea of the situation surrounding the pilot, the status of the plane, passengers and things like that. So we can't talk about that without also talking about the weather, because that can influence an aviation incident or accident like that. So there's actually the NTSB recorded there's a clear weather, there's just light wind, nothing like gushing wind or excessive things that can, you know, take over the plane and things, nothing like that. So actually the pilot has no excuse for that event that happened, and we'll still see why. But part of it there's clear day, this during the day, not even night, weather and everything is clear. So now let's now look at what really went wrong. We now have understanding of the plane, and we have the sample picture. I told you it's not the actual plane before it crashed. I just got this picture to show you, but this is the actual plane itself. You see it has tumbled and have the belly up. So now that we understand, we know the pilot and things, let's now try to as well understand what really went wrong. Based on this, the plane took off and had a low pass. You know, if they want to do gender review, normally it will come to a bit lower, and is even depending on what they are dropping. So it's actually dropping like the pink water, so it has a level it need to be for people under to actually have a very more visible feel and see the dropping and things like that. And it was actually carrying 350 gallons of pink water. Remember, this plane is actually built for agricultural use, like spraying and things, so it has a massive storage tank, but this time around it carried the 350 gallons of pink dyed water, tinted water, to dump for, and the crowd goes while they're celebrating and things like that. So the plane was lighter after, because I think I was able to get through for a kind of footage like that. The plane actually dropped this successfully, flew over. That means the gender reveal was actually successful. So it we fly over, fly beside, you can see the parents to be shouting and family and things like that as it dropped the pink water. So, and once it drops that, the plane will become lighter. Then as the plane flew over to go, the next thing is it crashed in a field, so which is what you are seeing here. It's just crash in, turn over, crumble with a massive damage. You can see almost like the whole front part here is gone, and you can see the wing, and seems like one of the tire here is already missing. We only have one. It seems this is gone, because if we look at the full plane picture again, we can see it that is normally this two front tire here and one at the back. Wow, it seems even the old two tire has gone. You can see it has like three tires, two here and one at the back. So we are only seeing one at the back now. The old front one, they are all gone. Wow. So that's why it's having this old picture give better idea of the extent of the damage. So if let's continue, we now have better extent of the damage to the plane. So what really went wrong with it to cause such a massive damage? The speed drop on pull-up. Remember, we said it, according to the NTSB report, the plane already dropped the 350 as expected or as planned. Then, but there is a critical angle of attack. That's like a bike. When you have a bike and you are trying to turn like this, you can crash the bike, because there's maximum to how you can turn the neck before it even break off and you fall off and crash and things. So also is how plane work. I will show you more graphics to understand it, which lead to it to stall. I think I have that here. So you can see this is from Pilot Institute, and you can see how they explain it. You can see this low angle of attack and critical angle of attack is the maximum angle at which an airfoil generates lift. So an angle of attack matters because it determines how airflow over the wing to generate lift. Exceeding the critical angle of attack causes airflow separation, leading to stall, loss of lift, and potential loss of control. All these things are what happened to the plane. It couldn't lift again, it gets stalled. It couldn't go further again, it couldn't lift again, and at that point in time, the pilot lost control of the plane. So all these three things they say, and you can see the graphics that give better idea of what critical angle of attack means. So once that happen, you have a better idea now. There is a store, and once there is a store, the plane can't go further again. It's like it becomes stiff. It's just hang. So it's just the next thing from there is it will just be falling. The pilot cannot, except he's able to get out of that store. So even if he's going to try to pitch up or try to control where it's going to land or things like that, at least the plane need to get out of store. So, but which he wasn't able to. The wing lift, and then it begin to spine down. So nose first, and then it flips upside down, as I showed earlier. We had the picture, you can see it here, that it flip upside down, hit the floor, lost 2 of those front and a lot of the part as well. So NTSB now final report for it says it was an aerodynamic stall. So, and what were the cause? Pilot failed to maintain airspeed. The pilot, as he was trying to come, he was going too slow, trying to do the gender reveal stunt to release the water, and because of that, and also at the same time exceeded critical angle of attack, while still also having a low pass. That means he was flying low. Remember, he was trying to drop those, and he was actually flying low. So because of that, those critical things combined together caused the plane to stall and experience what they call the aerodynamic stall. And once that happened, the pilot lost control, and then it just began to nosedive and spine down and crashed. So the report confirmed that the plane itself does not have any mechanical failure. It was just purely from the part of the pilot that had very slow speed, exceeded critical angle, and yet flying low. So even if he would likely have been able to recover, is already very close to the ground. So that is why FAA used to recommend outside of crowded area or place, it should be minimum of 500 feet. Then if it is in city or things like that, it should be minimum of 1,000 feet. You understand? So that at times, if things goes wrong, there could be some of little time at times to try to adjust some things. Not that 500, 1,000 is something normally you will not expect normal commercial lines, airlines to go that low, but something like this could. So those are the major thing that cause the issue. So let's now look at the heartbreak and lessons attached to this plane crash. So 500k plane wrecked, and though the good news there, as many of you been wondering, is there was no death, because the plane has nosedive, there was no fire. That's one of the major issue, because when plane lands like that and then explode into fireball, the chances of survival becomes almost zero. So good for the pilot and the passenger that there was no fire or something. So it just crashed. Both of them were able to get out of the plane. In fact, the report says the pilot has no injury. Only the passenger sustained minor injury, nothing like life-threatening there. So the lesson we have there is low stunt equals to high risk. So got to keep speed on pull-ups, and because assuming maybe it's higher, probably it might be able to regain, or the plane might not have even stalled, and then it's going even too low as well. So side note for those that wonder, okay, what now happened with gender? The gender review still happened. Remember, he had actually sprayed the 350 gallon expected and fly off the actual location of the plane. Just a bit after, that's when it crashed into that field. So, but on a 500,000 USD wreck. So I tried to even do a check for you guys that might be interested. You can see this was the, so it's not like I just tried to throw price there. I did my research, so I did a check for you guys to, so that you know that I didn't just throw the price. This is AGA update, like cite the list planes like this for sale, and you can see the model. They are different year and model, and you see the price ranges from like 670,000 to like 1.650 million. So you can see it there as well. For those that may want to check, you can see this is it here, and you can as well see it was recent listing by the time I was doing the video. So you can see it there. I don't know, when you'll be watching, the price might have be higher or crashed down, but this was the current price. So that tells that the gender review become much costlier. So I think that's the major thing about this crash, and it's your turn now to share your own take on this crash, on the pilot, on the event surrounding this crash. To have massive crash like this, all two front wheel gun and things like that, share in the comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tap notification bell, and watch other video playlist below for gender review plane crashes. And remember to always do good to humanity and nature wherever you are, whatever you do, to make the world and universe a better place for us all. See you in the next one. I remain Foske. Thanks for tuning in, and watch other plane crash update videos. Thank you, and bye for now.